Welcome back to the Light Up Your Life podcast. I'm your host, Samantha Peters, and today I'm joined by Jessica Lynn Silva. She's an award-winning estate planning and probate attorney. She's a best-selling author, speaker, and founder of the law office of Jessica Lynn Silva. Jessica is passionate about helping individuals and families protect their assets, build generational wealth, and create lasting legacy. Welcome to the show. It's such a pleasure to have you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. And just a little backstory for everyone listening to this. I actually met Jessica at an event with Bill Walsh. We were both speaking there and we ended up talking and we realized that we live on the same street.
Yes,
So
we do.
such a small world.
Yes.
Such a blessing.
Been doing so many adventures since.
I know. And I can't wait for next week for more adventures. But I want to go into your story and what inspired you to become an estate planning and probate attorney.
Well, I have my background. I've been in law and business for 26 years. My oldest is 28 and I entered when he was 2. And from there, I've done criminal, civil, family, insurance defense, timber law, which a lot of people don't know what that is. It's where you buy the rights just to all the trees, but you're not getting the land. Fun fact, it's also the one time I counted over $1 million cash on my conference room table. So
wow,
that was kind of fun. Yes. And then I did real estate law. And then afterwards, I did estate planning and probate. And then I actually worked for a lottery winner attorney for a bit. So I noticed that was the niche out of all of them where I felt like I was doing a community service, helping set people up for success and protect their assets and making a great living at the same time. So that was just the one that I'm like, yes, this is me.
Oh, I love that. And I feel like you're a woman that does it all. You're a mom, you're a wife, you have a podcast too, you're a speaker, you're an author. And so I think that's beautiful. But I know that we've talked in conversation about the pivotal moment in your life, in your childhood, that really made you decide this is the path that you want to go on because of what you experienced.
When I was 12, I just had this strong, and me, I'm a person of faith, so some others of faith would get it, but I just had this huge intuition prompting at 12 years old that Jess, you are meant for more. And you are going to change lives and you're going to have influence and impact on other people. And I didn't really know what that meant, but it was a path. And I grew up poor. So this was not something that was like easy, didn't have mentorship, podcast didn't exist. At 18, I found myself as a single mom. And being a single mom in the 90s, that was really strongly frowned upon. So I went through a lot of being ostracized and not speaking and this, but I knew I wanted to make something of myself and I wanted to have impact not only for myself and for my son, but for others. And so I went straight to the college, applied, and I went in just wanting to be a secretary, just anything. And the girl came back and she said, the counselor, and I will forever be thankful. And she's like, you ace these tests. I think you should reach higher. And she's like, have you ever thought of being a paralegal? And I'm like, what's that? Do they deal with handicapped people? And she's like, no, the right hand to the attorney. And I'm like, sign me up. And that started the world that just the Lord kept opening doors every single step of the way. And then I went and worked for Brock and Scott. I would work full time. I'd travel, I'd commute 3 hours round trip, 3.5 hours. And I would work all day at Brock and Scott, go to college all night in Smithfield, then go back to the house in Mount Olive. So it was long days, but it was productive and I don't regret a bit of it.
Yeah, definitely all worth it. And it's build your resilience, your character, and the work that you're doing today. And I think one of the pivotal things for me is, and it sounds like this is part of your story, where someone had to believe in you first for you to actually believe in yourself. And so I think that's really, really special that that happened to you when you saw your potential and someone gave you an identity to step into.
And I don't even remember her name, but I'm forever grateful that she took that step and just spoke. Because, you know, when you do a job, you can do the bare minimum and just let them go. And, or you could go further and say, I see more in you. I think you. And so that really meant a lot to me because at 18, I was trying to look to bet on myself and make something for my son. And so that was a really awesome pivotal moment. Angel in disguise.
Yes. Well, I know you're really passionate about helping people protect their families and building lasting legacies. And I feel like most people, when they hear estate planning, they automatically think that it's for the ultra wealthy.
No.
But what does that actually mean?
Being for the ultra wealthy is one of the biggest misconceptions. And I like to
Mhm,
tell people, even the less money you have, the more important it is to follow some of the tips that I want to share with you,
mhm,
because it's even more vital because every penny counts. So those several $1,000s, you need all of it. You want
mhm,
to set yourself up to get all of it without court and attorneys and creditors and everybody getting their share.
mhm,
So it's my rule of thumb, once you're 18, you need to have an estate plan in place. Your basics, you can do your basics of your will and your power of attorney, your healthcare surrogate, your living will, which is like the Terry Schiavo,
mhm,
and then your preemie guardian. Those are what you should definitely have for sure. Then you can go on to a trust. In my world, I think you need a trust if you have minor children, so you can avoid guardianship court. If you have blended families and they don't get along, so we need to lock down certain assets when one of the spouses passes. If you own multiple properties, property across state lines, because a
mhm,
trust will cross state lines where a will doesn't. So
mhm,
you are paying for multiple probates in a will's case, where with a trust, your successor trustee can just step in, do what they need to do without any courts. And if you own an LLC and S corps and things like that, then you're already in trust territory. But if you keep that rule of thumb in mind, and then if you get to the high net worth,
mhm,
we're looking at different irrevocable trusts and strategies and,
mhm.
things like that, but that doesn't apply. But the ones I mentioned already, those are your keys for everybody. As soon as you're 18, that should be what you're putting in place.
Okay. I love that advice. And I've been hearing so much about how
Mhm.
people have their LLCs
Yes.
in their trust, and then they also have a life insurance policy because
Yes.
the Rockefellers use the
Mhm.
waterfall method. So, can you describe that a little more? And would you recommend anyone doing that?
I love life insurance, and I can tell you a true story. Two gentlemen that were in my life, one was like my first love when I was a kid. I'm still friends with his sisters to this day. He passed away before he was 40 of a brain tumor, and he did not have life insurance. And he left behind a wife and children, and she works multiple jobs to make ends meet. Compare that to another friend who passed away but 40. However, he did have life insurance. His wife and two girls will never have to work in their life. And that
Wow.
is simply the difference of who set themselves up for success. And
Hmm.
it changed the trajectory of everything. I just think it's so sad because you're already grieving the loss of a loved one. And then
Hmm.
the domino effect is made even worse because you're having to go through a probate process you don't understand. You're having creditors reach out, you're having attorneys need the money, the courts need the money, you're not even understanding where to find things. And then you're realizing how little you do have, and the money is stopping and not coming anymore. Those are just things that could so easily be, if you have a conversation prior to while you're alive and confident, we can
Hmm.
set you up for success where none of that is an issue. And in someone, a loved one's passing, you can now grieve, but
Hmm.
you can grieve knowing there's money in the bank and all the
Yeah.
assets are taken care of, and there is no court and no need for attorneys. And that's a beautiful thing.
I'm sure it's such a sense of relief. And how does someone start? So you recommend at 18
Mhm.
they get life insurance. What would that even look like?
Yeah, life insurance is easy. You actually can just, there's some reputable, great ones, and you're always welcome to reach out to me because we keep a referral list, my staff. So when anyone asks, if it's not something we personally can assist with, we'll tell you a name or two you can check out yourself. But it starts with literally making a phone call to someone you have a good relationship with.
Mhm,
They will usually, based on your age, they'll ask some criteria questions. They will have a nurse sent to your home. They'll draw your blood just to check.
mhm,
And from there, there's tiers. So you're either top tier, which means you can get the most life insurance coverage for the least amount of price, which is
mhm,
great. That's your goal. And then if you were a smoker or you did other things, they'll still give it to you, but it's going to be a little more
mhm.
expensive. And then it'll kind of goes down the tiers that if you have cancer or issues or heart defects, you might not actually be applicable. So that is also why the earlier the better,
Mhm.
because while you're healthy and young, you can lock it in. Where
Yes.
as you get older, if you go through something or a medical issue is discovered, then you're no longer insurable. And then you've
Wow.
missed the window. And that's a very dangerous thing.
Mhm,
But yes, I'm a big believer in life insurance. Right now in the United States, you can be worth over $15 million and not pay taxes if you pass away, especially in Florida, because we do not have inheritance tax here in
mhm,
Florida. Other states might have a tax for dying, but federally wise, Florida doesn't have inheritance tax. And then federally, you're not going to be taxed unless you're over 15 million. So if you were already over that amount, that's when some people will do what's called an ILET trust, and those are life insurance trusts where we do them because we don't want the life insurance funds going through and applying to your 15 million. So we'll do it in a separate vehicle so you can have all the benefits without it. That's kind of more of our high net worth earners.
Mhm.
Our average and above upper class people, that's not always a concern. Like you don't have to go that extreme. Just straight getting a life insurance policy and naming beneficiaries is sufficient.
Such good information. I'm learning so much right now. And when they have a life insurance within their trust, do they have the ability to buy hard assets like real estate?
Using their eyelid and stuff, different tools and different
Mhm.
strategies. A lot of people will use to buy real estate. They will go open if they're self employed, they'll do solo 401ks
Okay.
and they will do other things and they will form LLCs and those hold ownership. And
Mhm.
then the way to get it to avoid the probate process, because there's two purposes there's avoid probate and then liability. So there's two different trains. And sometimes there you're only looking for one majority wise,
Mhm.
and then sometimes you're going for two. So what your goal in the realm to avoid probate is we will do it and we do something called an assignment of LLC interest to trust. That's where you can buy up all your assets
Mhm.
and then put them in different vehicles.
That's really smart. Why do you think so many people try to avoid probate?
Because probate was created for creditors. So
Mm.
that literally was the government's way to give creditors the chance to touch your assets on the way the beneficiaries, and the
Mhm.
beneficiaries get what's left over, which is why you hear the words, it took forever, it was
I
expensive,
hear
there was
that all the
nothing
time.
left.
Mhm.
That is because by law for formal probate, they need an attorney. So they don't have a choice to do it themselves. So they need us, then we have to pay to go through the court process. Then
Mhm.
it's slow because we're waiting on the court's order to say yes to all the actions we want to take. And then we have to even wait to run the creditor period and wait 90 days before we can hand out the distributions. And those distributions can only be if no creditors filed claims.
Wow.
Me personally, when a creditor files a claim in my
Mhm.
probate case, I will object because I put more hardship on them to prove it's a valid lien. And
Mhm.
so when I do that, they have 30 days to do an independent action in civil court. Most of them will not. So that protects more money for my clients and the estate in a legal, great way. But not all attorneys do that. And so there's kind of little things that just make it. And so if you can avoid that whole entire process, you're already upwards of saving 10 to 20 to 30 grand just by not even having to go through it. And you get access. I joke and tell people in probate, you're going to be 6 months to over a year, in a multiple years, depending on lawsuits and things. In a trust, we could have you emptied out in an afternoon. That kind of shows
Oh
you the
my gosh,
difference.
that's a massive
We're
difference.
not waiting on anything.
Yeah, everyone listening to this, take Jessica's advice. I mean, yeah, that's huge. So I know, unfortunately, unexpected deaths happen.
Mhm.
What would happen if someone didn't even have a will set up?
What happens in Florida is we have something, and every state has a similar avenue, but we have the intestate law. So the
Mm.
intestate law is okay, you didn't take time to go see Jess and set up your assets. So we're going to assume we know who you loved in your life. And they just go
Mm.
down a statute. Were you married? Yes. Okay. Your
Mhm.
spouse gets everything. They don't care if you were separated, you hate your spouse, you guys were living separate, doesn't matter. You didn't leave us anything different. So we assume you guys were happy and we loved each other. And if you have kids, it's do you
Interesting.
have children? Are they biological to you and your spouse? If they are biological to both, spouse still gets 100%. If the children are biological with someone different, like a previous marriage,
Mhm.
then your spouse only gets half and then your kids get half, which
Okay.
causes the dynamo that most people don't realize. Say, I had children for a previous relationship, I
Mhm.
get remarried, but I'm estranged from my kids and I really want my new wife to not be homeless. Like I want her to have it, but I didn't leave
Mhm.
anything. She now is going to own a house with my kids that are estranged. She'll have the house, and they literally could tell her to buy them out or force a sale. And so you start in motion all these things and
Mhm.
triggers that you didn't realize. And the sad ones for me is the ones that a lot of people don't get married anymore. So there'll be longtime boyfriend, girlfriends, or
Mhm.
friends, and they buy a house together. They only just had their two names. They didn't say joint tenants with rights or survivorship. They didn't leave a will or a trust. So they all of a sudden are owning half their home with complete strangers. And that is not always for even
Doesn't
for
sound fun at all.
no,
Mhm.
because when that person now enters title, one, they have the right to also move in,
Mhm.
or they have the right to force you to buy them out, or they can force a sale. Or if they come and they're in their own divorce or their own getting sued for creditors, this is now an asset that that creditor can come after.
Oh my
So
gosh.
all
You
these
need to
things,
protect yourself.
yes. And
Wow.
all that could have been avoided by two things: saying joint tenants with rights to survivorship. That means whoever outlives the other gets to keep it. Or if you can have a will or trust that says where you want your half to go so you control the ship.
Yes, you
Mhm.
want to be in complete control
Yeah,
of your life and not have to
absolutely.
worry about that. I feel like you answered so many of my questions.
I could talk all day about
I
this.
know. Yes, you're so informative. What do you think the role of financial literacy plays in building generational wealth from your perspective?
Because you have to know what to control. I was reading a really sad article about Burt Reynolds. We all know him,
Mm,
how handsome and wonderful he is as an actor. Did you know he died bankrupt? And well,
no.
he had massive, massive wealth, but had no idea what to do with it. So kept investing in other friends and people's ideas with no oversight, just assumed it'd work. He didn't check it. And then he went from 50, 60 million down to worth only 2 million and had to have done a bankruptcy and things. I found that so
Of
disheartening
course.
because the
Wow.
wealth was there, but they didn't
Mhm.
know how to have the financial literacy to keep it.
Mhm.
Financial literacy is literally understanding money,
Mhm.
how it works for you, and how it works against you. And then making sure you make decisions that back those. So many times when I worked for the lottery winner and we had clients that won the lottery, you would think their life is perfect. Like
You
there
hear
are
this all
no problems ever.
the time.
If they don't know what to do, they would literally bleed out the principal and hand it out to all their new so called best friends, and there's nothing left. Instead of investing, starting things, then share the interest. Don't just give all the principal away.
Mhm.
Like there's nothing wrong with sharing. You can do whatever you wish, but put it in vehicles that it's the money is making money. And
Mhm.
then you've set yourself up for success.
I love that advice. And what are some of the vehicles that are assets and not liabilities?
Real estate, gold, silver, stock options, if you can
Mhm.
understand it, business ideas. I love to follow Cody Sanchez, the boring
Yes.
businesses. So, car washes, title companies, trailer parks. There's a lot of different avenues. Even the ones I know someone that Under Armour, he helped write the contracts for Under Armour and they offered him some shares in their business. And he went home and
Wow.
asked his wife, should he take the money or the shares? And she's like, you'll take the money. I don't know if they're going to make it. And so he got like 3 grand, which would have been like
Oh my
300,000,000.
gosh. Wow,
So, I
that's
mean,
insane.
there's opportunity. I talked to a gentleman once, I loved him, and he was saying, opportunities are like bus stops. If you stay there long enough, there's a new one that comes by every 10 minutes. So the
Mm.
key is just to be aware of it and
Yes.
watch for it.
You're right. You always have to be open. I feel like a lot of times broke people think everything's a scam.
Yeah.
But in my experience, I feel like these opportunities of people that I met
Mhm.
and even just doing network marketing have been the biggest blessing.
Yes.
And the worst that can happen is you find out it's not for you, but you have so much
Yeah.
growth along the way.
You have a connection or something.
Mhm.
The key for me as a lawyer is if people intend to keep their word, you should have no problem putting them in legal enforceable documents. So if you're transparent and you come to an agreement, even with friendships, I always think the perimeter should be written down in a contract. So then, even for marriages, you do your prenups.
Mhm.
It's just to protect everybody. So that if stuff hits the fan, we
Mhm.
go back and remember, and you can still salvage the relationship, even if the deal went different.
So you believe in doing a prenup in every marriage? I know this is very controversial where people say that it's not true love if you're having me sign this document. So
I don't agree with that at all.
yeah.
In
Mhm.
prenups and postnups, I think it's at the time when everybody's all amicable and in love with each other and everything's golden
Mhm.
roses. It's just like,
Yeah.
hey, if something was to go south, here's where we want to divide things out. I'm coming to the marriage with this whole entire business. Do you get a piece of it? Are we making this commingle it into one? Are we keeping
Mhm.
it divided because it's a family heirloom that's being passed down and my family would not want it going to another side? I just think it's being wise and
Mhm.
we need to have wisdom. And usually you're teaming up with a partner who probably has their own business. So we respect those boundaries.
That's true. Do you have any examples or stories of where you see that playing out and how detrimental it might be to someone, especially if they don't sign a prenup?
Yes, one of them multi-millions in cryptocurrency had built multiple millions. And the other person already came with her own big, huge wealth too, but it was a family dynasty wealth. And they just wanted it to be very clear that if anything was to ever occur,
Mhm.
what they came to the marriage with is what they would get to leave with without it being commingled or treated or divided up and all those type things. And then I've seen the ones that don't, and they take a piece of a business and run it into the ground or don't know what to do with it. And it's just, there's always an avenue. First, you need to communicate and find out what really matters to the other party. It's also very eye opening because if they truly don't love you and are just after the money, that'll become very apparent as well. If they use the old adage of you don't really love me, you don't trust me, then I think that's already showing a little bit of an immaturity sign.
Red flag.
Yes,
Mhm.
because if you're smart and you're a teammate and you're in this, you don't mind having a conversation. You truly are supposed to be teammates in your own board of advisors. So you're looking at this from a professional, a loving, a personal, and a business standpoint. And we're all wanting to make sure we're on the same team and moving forward. So you're kind of already looking for any potential holes to plug those right away so they don't become an overload and drown the boat later.
Yeah,
Mhm.
such great advice. And I want to talk about your book that's
Yes.
out. Can you share with us your inspiration for the book?
So the book is Wealth, Wills, and Winning. It's a little bit of a memoir of my personal story and mixed in with some great business tips and advice and just how to build wealth, protect wealth, and transfer a legacy. So that's what the point is because people sometimes always miss those protect your wealth, protect your health. Because you could be super rich, but have burned yourself out or be so mentally unstable of what you
Mhm.
did to get there that your mansion is your prison and you don't enjoy it. Or you burn so many bridges, you have no friends to enjoy those yacht days with. You want to do both in conjunction. You want to have a healthy lifestyle, a great inner circle, and team players because they say you become who you hang around. So all those type of you're building your wealth together and you're building your health, and then we want to protect it because a lot of times when people don't protect their assets, they're gone in one generation. So that was a lot of hard-earned effort and wasted years to
Mhm.
watch it just be frozen
Yes.
away. So that's kind of where the book is on Amazon. It's an Amazon international bestseller, and I'm really
Congrats.
proud of it. Thank you. And it's you can absolutely go there. If you ever see me speaking, I usually bring a few copies and give them away and
Yes,
I'll
you
autograph them
do.
too. So
Mhm.
I'm always willing to I want the word out there. That has been my goal. The book was written to be something that I would have treasured when I was 18, single mom, and some of the people were not speaking to me at the time. And I needed a mentor
Mhm.
desperately to tell me my next step. That's kind of who it was written for, was my 18-year-old self.
Yes, I always find you're most qualified to serve the person you once were. So if
Yes.
you had that information, your life would probably look different, but you wouldn't have had to go through all of those experience and things. So now anyone listening to this has the blueprint to their health, wealth, and happiness. So that's
Yep.
incredible.
And for there, if they always like it, acronyms, I always go when I speak on the word plan. So
Mhm.
put pen to paper of so create legal enforceable documents, what your wishes are. L, learn the difference between a will and a trust because a will is like airport security, long and painful, and a trust is like TSA pre-check or the private jet. So you get to do it seamless, and we're both going to the same destination, but one
Mhm.
experience is way more enjoyable and
Yes,
faster.
we definitely want the enjoyable one.
Yes. A, audit your assets, know what you own and how you own it, and that it's protected and where it's going. And then N, navigate all the tools that are available to you because they're not just for the wealthy. I mean, there are even some uber wealthy, like Howard Hughes, died billionaire, and they spent hundreds of millions of dollars in attorney fees. And he had, I believe it was 444 people all claiming to be his relative that wanted a piece of his business. They ended up bringing it down to 22 cousins inherited his estate. But yes, all the wasted attorneys and court
Mhm.
time and hearings and
Money.
everything just to find out who was entitled to it. He could have gotten rid of all that by just having a will or a trust and saying exactly where he wanted it to go.
Yes.
Mhm.
Mic drop right there. Everyone has to listen. So to wrap this up, I always like doing a fun this or that
Yes.
challenge. So would you prefer spa or yacht day?
Oh my gosh, I love them both. Can I have both? Can we just
Yeah.
put the spa on the
Yes,
yacht?
yes, that's exactly what I was thinking when I was writing this. Are you more of a morning workout person or an evening walk
Morning.
person?
If it
Morning.
doesn't happen in the morning, it's probably not going to
Mhm.
happen.
Yes, very, very true. Would you rather travel to Hawaii or Italy?
I've been to Hawaii, being that my
Mhm.
husband was born and raised there. I have
Mhm.
not been to Italy yet, but I hear wonderful things.
Mhm.
That one I'd have to say TBD because I need to go try them both out, see which one would be better.
Yes, and you are Miss Hawaii.
I am Mrs. Hawaii International this year,
I
yes.
love it. So amazing. Do you recommend saving money or making money?
Oh, you know how they say sharks never stop moving? And
Mhm.
saying your money should not just be placed in a savings account and sit there. It's not growth.
Mhm.
And the Bible even has a parable about that, where he gave so much coins to each person, and
Mhm.
one was so proud of himself for going and burying it in the
Mm.
sand. And he actually was chastised that that was not the wise thing to do. Everybody else went out there and multiplied it, and they were
Mhm.
given kudos for making good choices. So
Yes.
I would definitely say making money because
Mhm.
it needs to be out there trying. I know I personally just 2 days ago was on a phone on the train coming back from Miami on the Bright Line. I was on a phone call to buy an interest in an apartment building in Jacksonville. So I'm big into
Mhm.
always putting my money out there in different pockets so it's
Yes.
working for itself.
Yeah, you don't wanna invest in just one because you never know what's gonna happen with
Correct.
that. So I agree with you. Definitely
You
wise
should always
advice.
have your emergency fund. So
Mhm.
I'm a little bit of a Dave Ramsey and Robert Kiyosaki. I think if you can't handle credit cards and handle things, you should stick with your little budgets. But
Mhm.
once you've got that understanding and know how money works for you and how it's a tool
Mhm.
and you control it, it doesn't control you, then I think you move on to the OPM, the investments, and to go bigger
Mhm.
and better to keep
Yes,
it. So, yes. So you only keep a few months of life in your savings account. Everything else should always be out there working for you.
I agree with that. Money can be like a little worker.
Yes.
I've heard that too. Would you rather speak on stage or host a
I
podcast?
love podcasts. I mean, I like stages too, but
Mhm.
I'm very more into like the fireside chat, the panels, the things,
Mhm.
although I love an opportunity to speak on stage, so I won't say
Mhm.
no, but I truly enjoy the more intimate settings.
Yes, I agree with you. And then last one, would you rather have a dinner party or host a charity gala?
Dinner party.
Yes.
I love small
Mhm.
intimate where you really feel like you get to know people
Mhm.
and you can make it fun.
Yes.
Mhm.
Always fun. Well, thank you so much for being on the
Yes.
show today. You were such an amazing guest. You were
Thank
beautiful and you are
you.
so intelligent, and my audience is going to love this episode. So, thank you for being here, and we're sending you all so much love and light.